put your mind in it, be able to see it, and it will happen. Trust me. But also, you have to prepare for what you want. You got to do the right thing. You got to, drink your water, read, love everybody. You know what I'm saying? Talk to your mom every day. Listen to good music. Do what's right. You know what I'm saying? And while pursuing, what you envision for yourself.
So we hope you enjoy listening to this podcast half as much as we enjoy making it for you. Because we had a ball. Only real content is gonna last. All that other nonsense is here today and gone tomorrow.
Welcome, John Taylor, to Navigating Now. I call John JT. He's been a really cool menswear fashion mentor of mine, and I'm excited to have him on the podcast. He's going to drop some gems for everybody today. So I want to just start off, let him introduce himself. JT, glad to have you on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good to be here, man. Good to connect, man, for sure. Good seeing you guys. My name is Jonathan Taylor, known as JT. Everyone calls me JT. That's been the name ever since high school. So real quick, I'm just a menswear designer here in New York City, just chipping away on this journey. This year alone, I've designed for numerous brands, I guess, starting out with Aime Leon Dore. I had a deep hand in their SS21, which is next season for Aime. A brand based in Milan. This is all 2020, by the way. This is a brand in Milan called Joshua Sanders, which is a luxury footwear brand. However, they just dropped, just last week actually, a capsule collection with Smiley. And I designed that whole ready-to-wear capsule. I've been working with Kawhi Leonard's creative team in regards of his apparel, with his personal launch, and also some of his New Balance collection. And I don't want to forget anything. A lot of small no-name situations in 2020, but overall, that's 2020. And I'll go backwards. Before 2020, I was head of design for Willie Chevreria. I call it Conceptual Street. Super sophisticated, really intelligent man, really good friend of mine. So Willie Chevreria was from, I would say, 2018, 2019, going backwards from him. I guess I can kind of go to where it started from, which was Thom Browne. I started Thom Browne in 2013, and I worked all the way to 2014. And after leaving TB, I just pretty much was just designing for a lot of your small streetwear brands here in New York City, and just so that's pretty much the New York segment of my work. And so this is pretty much who I am. Just a young, I don't want to say young, I'm 37, but I still feel
young.
I still feel young, you know what I'm saying, for sure. Yeah, so just chipping away, man. When I in between Thom Browne to Willie, though, I made an attempt to launch my brand called HOMME. You guys can try to Google it, maybe go to Hypebeast and check it out. But that plane landed just as quick as it took off. That was something I said that I let my optimism overcompensate my common sense. But hopefully, who knows, in the near future, I may do an official launch. I didn't go to any stores. I didn't sell. I didn't have a stock list. I didn't have none of that, but hopefully if it happens in, let's say, late 21, 22, who knows, hopefully I'll do it right and have an actual official launch of HOMME. But at this point right now, I'm just trying to basically position myself, humbly speaking, as the go-to menswear designer freelance for these other brands, Yeah. So.
That's sure.
Yeah.
And you're doing that. So the first question I kind of want to ask is your current project with Aime Leon Dore. Can you speak a little bit on how did they approach you? How did they know you prior, maybe? And then like the process of making the collection, like how long did it take you to make the collection?
Well, yeah, I mean, this industry, it doesn't get any smaller than this industry. And so I actually have a friend who's over production for Aime. And when he moved to New York City, because he was away, he was in LA for a little while, And then he moved to Ohio to do stuff with Abercrombie. Now he's in New York City. My guy, Charlie, shout out to Charlie. He told Ted, he was like, man, I got a guy, man, I think you need to meet if you haven't met him already. And so he was saying, hey, my guy JT. And so Teddy hit me up. This was last December of 2019. And he was like, hey man, can you meet me at the shop? So I came to the shop on Mulberry, pulled up on Teddy, and he was like saying, hey man, I have a small amount of fashion people coming inside my shop now. And I'd love to kind of get your eye on some stuff with this next collection, because I'm pretty sure that's going to grow. I'm going to have more fashion people coming inside the shop, as he called them. And so as January started, man, I banged out for about 4 months straight. The pandemic kind of made things shaky. I was the only 1099 on the team. And so, and when April came, it was pretty much a done deal as far as SS21. And yeah, so that's pretty much how it kind of came about with me and Aime. That's kind of how it works with everyone I design for. It's like hearsay. I don't have an agent, or they may just, someone may find me on LinkedIn. I always say this journey of mine is like a steady, if I can use an analogy, it's like the steady pace of a domino effect. It's not really fast. It's not a fast domino effect, but it's steady, which I'm thankful for, So yeah, yeah.
So getting a little bit into your design process, do you start with any templates, or you go from scratch, or do you take inspiration from particular places? And then in the design, can you speak a little bit on like what you enjoy doing as far as like making the clothes, like sketching or producing the samples, or like in that whole like A to Z, because there's everything in fashion from just coming up with that first concept mood board to actually marketing and production and the whole line. So
it's funny because I just started back doing mood boards, and I haven't done a mood board since college, since school. Because when I first moved here and I first started at Thom Browne, he didn't do any mood boards and he didn't want to see any mood boards. And so I started to adapt that program. Like, what? I guess we don't need a mood board, right? If it's all in the mind, And I kind of rely on myself a lot when it comes to like what I like as far as style and where I am as far as, individual. And I just kind of put that into, I guess, what the consumer needs, because at this point, the consumer kind of dictates, what the brand should put out in some terms, but anyway, so I kind of rely on my sketches first, and I'm very detailed when I sketch. I'm very detailed. I almost sketch in the context of an actual illustrated lookbook. I don't want to have any blurry lines, any different like unevens, any scratches, none of that. It's just very literal. It's what you see is what you get. And that's what I hunt for after the collection is done being sketched out, So like I'm extremely literal when it comes to my process in that regard, So the sketches, every detail had to be pointed out. Because I look at this like an art form. And before fashion, I was always painting, I was always, doodling with the pencil, being very creative with just, drawing, So I try to implement that into my process when it comes to design, So very, very strict when it comes to my lines, And after the collection is sketched out, of course, you have the technical part, the CADs, the illustrations. But after that, I kind of, and I don't gravitate to that as much as I should, but I do it, obviously. And then from there, just building it out, just, on that scavenger hunt, trying to find the right swatches, the right materials, on the phone, hitting up all these different tanneries, whether it's, somewhere in, Florence or somewhere in Kentucky, it doesn't matter. So the sketching aspect simultaneously with the development part as far as sourcing the materials, I guess it's kind of my top two things. And then when the actual sample is finished, it doesn't really even get me off. It's like, well, I sketched it, so it's supposed to be. I sketched it and I sourced it. So yeah, yep. So I guess the whole ideal of having an idea come to life through my sketches is the most powerful thing.
Right. And can you, on top of that, can you speak to how important it is, because you've worked in places with entire teams where you came in as a kind of freelance designer, but you also try to do your own thing. Can you talk to, because we talked about from A to Z, there's so many steps in the process to creating clothes.
Right.
How important is it to have a team and have the people who actually do gravitate towards that CAD drawing technical aspect, and then having other people who like to do the sketches, such as yourself?
It's super important to have a team that's, you may not be evenly balanced, but each person have their own superpowers, you know? And
Right.
also when it comes to having a team, you know, you don't really need a big team, you know, you don't need a lot of brains when it comes to designing a collection. So it's not hard to assemble, you know, someone who day and night on Illustrator, someone that loves to, who's able to communicate these ideas through sketches, and then someone who just knows how to style, you know, and then that's why you have a lot of brands to come up, because those three things is pretty much all you need to actually have a brand, you know, because you may have one person that's an all around, you know, design team, one person playing 3 or 4 individuals. And I didn't even mention pattern making, you know, getting behind the Juki and pushing it through, you know what I'm saying? You know, I have a lot of friends and people who I know in this industry who can do all 4, you know, so having a team is super imperative for sure, you know. But again, if you don't have a team, which when I launched Moment, I didn't have a team. It was just me doing everything. You know, I mean, I wasn't saving any money because I had to pretty much source for work, but I wish I did. That's what I was saying. If I was to launch Moment again this time, I'm gonna need all that kind of stuff, you know,
Right.
as less headache as possible. So I definitely do feel like having a nice, small, tight team on the same path, on the same page, with the same drive is super imperative for sure. Yep. And if you don't have, and as a freelancer, if you don't have that kind of access, make yourself resourceful, you know? Don't be afraid to ask, hey, this is who I am, this is what I've done. Can you help me with this, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And so going from like kind of asking questions and like kind of in your experience, if you could speak a little bit on your experience on where you started as far as fashion design, and kind of where you would point somebody who is interested in fashion design, maybe at anywhere along the scale, what's some advice, or where would you point them towards as far as learning about what you do?
Well, I think the first thing that someone should do is kind of realize what fashion really means to them. So for me, fashion was probably one of the few things in my life that allowed me to hold on to my inner kid, my inner child, while experiencing new things, you know? Because if you're in a place where, you know, you love to put on outfits, you love to, you know, walk down Mercer or Broadway or whatever it may be, Houston, but you can't create, that's cool. All right. Step into styling. Reach out to, you know, this is New York City. You know what I'm saying? This is, I mean, for me, New York City is not even a city. It's more so a statement of ambition full of out-of-towners trying to get it. You know what I mean? So if you can't
that's
create,
the whole energy too.
right. If you can't create, if you can't sketch, right, shoot your shot. You know, shoot your shot. There's so many people shooting their shot inside the same goal, you know? So, and try to make yours. So with that being said, I mean, just reach out, you know what I mean? Don't be afraid to be vulnerable, you know? Don't be afraid to let people know, hey, even if you don't have anything, like, hey, look, I don't have shit right now, but this is what I love. This is what I'm trying to do. You know, just give me something, you know, just give me some type of spark, and I'll see you next year. I'll see, or better yet, you may see me next year, you know? So yeah. So
I know I would, because I was gonna ask, what would your advice be to somebody who is like yourself from a small city inside a small town in Arkansas that isn't next to a big city with all of those opportunities? I know I would personally, and so would Jay, push them towards LinkedIn, because that's the new wave for everybody. LinkedIn, go do it. But is there any other like ways that you would suggest people reach out to people?
Yeah. I really feel, man, if you can see yourself being in a certain city or a certain space or whatever, you will eventually gravitate. That journey will actually move you itself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like for me, like I remember being a kid watching Belly and comparing Belly to Menace Society, like saying like, no, I don't want to do LA because LA reminds me of kind of like where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? And then, but New York City has this different thing. And I've always kind of just geared more towards New York. And so here I am, here in the city, you know? So I think if you can see yourself in a particular space and kind of act on it a little bit, you know, work on relationships, reach out and do the right thing as a human, you will eventually land there, you know, some kind of way, you know, some kind of way. For
do
sure.
the right thing in the moment.
Yeah, right.
Right thing in the moment.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, again, just people hit me up all the time on LinkedIn, you know? I mean, LinkedIn is definitely a valuable source as far as connecting with people, you know? And also, and as an individual for me, I get energized off of rejection and off of on red or even no replies at all. Like you didn't see it, you know, that energized me. So also as a mentality, you know, have that undefeated spirit, you know, don't be defeated. You know what I'm saying? I get off on rejection, you know? Again, like I said before, you know, this journey of mine it hasn't been, this whole ideology of speed kind of annoys me. I'm cool with being patient, you know, because guess what? I have my plan. I know what I'm set to do. This is what and sometimes when you acting on your journey, when you're in the middle of a creative journey, the universe will definitely remove everything out your way that you may think is good for you, you know?
Right.
Yeah, like that situation I told you before we started with the J. Crew thing, you know. Like,
yeah, facts.
Yeah, we could top on that
crazy ones.
Yeah, you know, but which was funny. It was like, you know, I live in this, you know, this contemporary luxury menswear space, but however, when you step outside to, well, I may consider this, you know, it's still like, no, stick to what you know. So, but yeah, that's what I think, man. Just put your mind in it, be able to see it, and it will happen. Trust me. But also, you have to prepare for what you want. You got to do the right thing. You got to, you know, drink your water, read, love everybody. You know what I'm saying? You know, talk to your mom every day. Listen to good music. Do what's right. You know what I'm saying? You know, and while pursuing, you know, what you envision for yourself. You know, because again, before not the fact that I'm from a small town, you know, surrounded by woods. Before fashion, though, you know, I was a probation officer, man. I was in criminal justice. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, that was an opportunity that was given to me, but still, I did it for a little while. You know, and also, when I speak to young people, I always speak on the importance of unlearning shit. Sometimes you have to unlearn things. Sometimes unlearning is just as important as learning. You know. You know, like our parents kind of taught us to get a job, work the job, pay the bill, then die. I think now we have this rebellious spirit where we're realizing, hey, jobs is not really for us right now, you know?
Right. Well, jobs ain't as secure as they made it seem.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we're kind of being rebels a little bit in that regard, you know? I don't consider myself as someone with a rebel spirit, but, you know, overall, you know, we kind of got to be rebellious a little bit, you know?
So something I kind of want to touch on with, like, I feel like now moving into the future, we're kind of breaking the mold on kind of how society expects people to move into their careers. And so I wanted to ask you, where do you think people should go to kind of get the knowledge for fashion design? And do you think fashion school and having a fashion degree is necessary these days? I know that you've been talking about maybe teaching a little bit, and I know that you also went to a fashion school in Chicago that definitely helped you with your journey. But speaking on now moving forward, I'm curious to hear your perspective on what you think the value is with fashion school.
Yeah, you know, for me, the reason why I actually, I guess, went back to school for fashion was because I came up in fashion during the time when I was your age. It was a lot of tastemakers, man. It was like the birth of tastemakers. Everyone wanted to, you know, put on a suit jacket and pose and sit at a cafe and look cool. And so I was surrounded by that. Everyone wanted to jump and build a brand off of that narrative. But for me, I was like, you know what? I want to be invisible for at least 3 to 4 to 5 years. So let me just go to school and develop a community through art and then pursue it that way, you know? And also, I was telling this to a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago. I didn't want to get old too fast in regards of my face when it comes to the industry. you know, because I feel like once you get old as far as a face, you're done. Because a lot of people who are quote unquote were tastemakers back in 2010, 2011, 2012, you know, you see them now, they're pretty much t-shirt, hair grown out, trying to build something. But they're, you know, but you look at them like, oh, dude, I remember when you had this little thing called the gentleman's touch or something, you know what I'm saying? You know, so for me, I never wanted to get old through that, you know? And I don't want people to speak on me in that type of manner where it's like, then you do something with this trade show last couple 4 years, you know what I'm saying? Now you're doing this, or now you want to create, now you wearing a t-shirt with paint on it, you know what I'm saying? So for me, I just kind of wanted to just step away from what they were doing and just kind of say, you know what, I'm going to humble myself. I'm going to quit my career. I'm going to become a student again. And I'm going to see if this route, you know, but if you think about it, but now it's so easy to put product out. Do you really even need to, you know what I'm saying, go to school to pretty much do it, you know? I mean, you can just pop off of something you can put on Instagram now. So I'm not quite sure. I mean, me personally, I still would consider going to school, you know what I'm saying, to get your connects up or whatever, you know, if you really love it. But also, I mean, if you're able to make product and put it out and it's good and keep at it, you know, and gain relationships, because also a big part of this industry is also who you know, who can connect, who you can get connected with, you know. So, you know, there's really no rule book and how to really make it, you know. But for the people that do want to, you know, learn and know, because I mean, I've always sketched my whole life, but however, when I got into design school, there were certain ways that they taught me how to sketch that I kind of merged into the way I already sketch, you know. I'm really big on customization also. So taking things that's already there, but making my own, you know. But we've always done that though, right?
Right. That's the mark of a creator, really.
Right. You know, right. So yeah, for sure. So I would recommend, I mean, the best advice I can give as far as school, I mean, or should you not do school? I don't know. I mean, look at yourself and just see what's out there for you, you know? See where you're at already. I know for me, in my time, 2010, 2011, 2012, I was surrounded by so many tastemakers in every city. Everyone wanted to wear the same slim fitted, you know, slacks with the, you know, the mock strap, you know, Oxford with the, you know, the polo button up, top button with the suit jacket. And I didn't want to do that. I mean, I could have done that, right? You know, but I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to strip down and really learn this, really go to school, you know, and really just see what's out there for me. And yeah.
I think like kind of a key takeaway I'm hearing is like, whether you want to do it in school or not, it's like really important to kind of like assess what's out right now in the culture and where is it that you feel like your vision fits within it. Is it something that's for now or something for the future? Like your brand is called Moment, and we don't live in time, we live in moments, you know what I'm saying? And like, if you understand the sequence of like what I'm doing is for the future, for later, then maybe like, you know what I'm saying, you went to school and you said, let me get the knowledge, let me build my network, let me up my resources, and then I'm gonna be able to kill it when it's my moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also for me, when I went to school, my whole mentality, if I can think back about 7 years ago, my mentality was, okay, I'm coming into fashion kind of late because I graduated at 30 years old. I moved to New York City. When I was interning at TB, I was 30 years old. And so actually, when I graduated from SAIC, I actually wanted to go back to school more. I actually wanted to move to London to go to Central St. Martin's because I was thinking, okay, cool. If I can give SAIC a year and a half and give Central St. Martin a year, from that school, I was believing that I could design for any house, you know? And so I was saying to myself, like I had a Women's Wear Daily article when I first launched Moment. And there was a quote in there when I told the interviewer, I said, look, man, I actually went, in 2 years, I went from taking ankle bracelets off the shorties in the hood and projects to being with Thom Browne in Paris, you know, putting looks down the runway. But before I considered New York City, because at the time I was engaged and my wife, she was like, no, let's try New York City, man, slow down. You're a little too ambitious right now. But before that, I was considering going to London because I was thinking, okay, cool, a year and a half in Chicago as a design student, go to London, and then perhaps after Central St. Martin's, who knows? I may, come in as, a menswear designer, maybe even a senior designer for, at the time, who was popping and in London. Tom Ford, he was in London at the time. Maybe Burberry. So I was setting up a plan to make leaps that kind of way. But I went to New York. I went the American route, stayed in New York City. Well, went to New York City, and here we are now.
Do you think that kind of going to some of these higher, like really prestigious fashion schools gets you in a little bit more with like the big fashion houses?
It probably did, but now we living in a world now where I think we're kind of sick of the same stories. I think we're living in a world now where we want a story that's authentic. So I think with all these different initiatives coming out now, as far as like, overlooked populations, African Americans, Black culture, young Black kids that's not getting, the proper looks as far as schooling, and now these industries, like even Gucci, they're going inside these different communities. I think Virgil just launched something where they're going inside these different places. They're finding people that, young kids that want to get down, who went to a terrible high school, who probably didn't go to college at all, but they still have access to a conglomerate like Kering or,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So I think so now. I think it really doesn't really even matter,
Right.
I think it doesn't really even matter at this point right now, because again, we're tired of the same narrative, and we're kind of shifting that whole ideal of, oh, you have to go to Central St. Martin's, you have to go to Parsons, FIT or whatever,
Right.
I mean, we have a lot of leverage going on right now, but also the way companies and the way people can get over leverage is individual leverage. What have you done? So you still have to put in the work within yourself. If you didn't go to an FIT, Parsons, SAIC, Savannah, whatever, Rhode Island, you still have to do something. You know what I mean? You still have
to build your credit.
Right.
Build your credit. That's something that we talked about like a much older episode, but like the fact that credit's not just money, there's social credit.
Of course,
and
absolutely.
Everything,
portfolio
like you don't
is credit.
Yeah, portfolio is big credit, more than your resume, more than where you went to school, your GPA. Show me what you've done, how you can apply your skills.
That's right. That's right.
And so we're kind of coming to the end. I wanted to ask one thing, because I know it's really big in your kind of philosophy, you call your life a journey, and we were kind of just talking about just how everything is shifting as far as this. No one really wants to hear the same old story. We're respecting people kind of going, getting it, and that we're respecting that authentic story. I want to ask, how has your mindset played into your success, and what would you encourage people to have in their repertoire as far as mindset, kind of skills or things that you have in your philosophy that help you in your journey?
Just be resilient. Just be super resilient. I mean, you're gonna have people, man. You're gonna come into this office, these interview spaces, these investment rooms, and people, say what they don't see, what they don't like, what how the market is shifting towards this, but you have this. We want to go over here in this direction, but you have this, and we don't want this. Just be resilient, because I've been into plenty of spaces where people just looked at me. You know what I'm saying? It was like, yeah, I don't know, I don't think so. But I don't want to, throw out an old cliche, but believe in yourself, man, and understanding that the universe is controlled by momentum. Momentum controls the universe. Like I was saying, man, this momentum can come from a compliment. This can come from a compliment, man. This can come from all the way up to, quickly executing, a 30 look collection in a week. You know what I mean? This can go to, this momentum can be being asked to be a part of some type of bootleg fashion show in your local town. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that can right there can translate to you being somewhere in the Marais or somewhere in the Ninth in Paris, putting shit together. You know what I mean? I mean, you could, customize a sneaker, then who knows, in the next couple years, 2 years, you're in some factory in Florence, getting lost, trying to find directions to, you know, a nearby tannery so you can go to this other factory, you know, that's in Venice, you know what I mean? So just always just act on any type of momentum, big or small, and understand that, you know what I mean? And just, that's what I did, you know? Like when I first, cause listen, I didn't know that the School of the Arts of Chicago, the Institute, was such a prestigious art school. I didn't know it. And I just knew, okay, I'm living in Chicago, so obviously they should have some type of school that has a fashion program, right? And I just submitted my sketches to them, my portfolio, and they accepted me. So with that being said, just that acceptance letter that came back was all the momentum I need to keep me going right now, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so just take any ounce,
little small wins.
yeah, any ounce, man, and just, and again, I always say, man, you know, a spark can set a forest fire, you know.
Facts.
So just be resilient, keep your head up, and it's going to be a lot of people to not a lot, and hopefully it's not a lot, but when they do, believe in yourself. Let it energize you, yo. Let it energize you, man. Yeah.
Thanks. So I have two more questions. One's a bit technical, and the other is more about your creativity. The technical one is, can you take us through how you communicate after you have your designs, you have your CADs? How do you go from that to speaking to the manufacturer, finding the manufacturer, and producing the samples?
Oh man, lucky me. I work with a factory here in the city, man. My guy Peter. So
Peter, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so check it out. So this guy's like 90 years old, and he understands everything about silhouette. He knows shape. He just gets it. And he's like 90 years old, man. And so I can come in with a sketch, a flat, a couple specs, because actually we'll do the spec right. Like he can do the spec on me, you know?
Right.
And we'll just pretty much just bang it out just like that, you know? So I have a sketch, or I might have an actual picture. Like, this is the type of shoulder I want. Let's get it done. I'll maybe send out one proto. We do one proto mock. And from after the first proto, everything else should kind of like translate within itself, you know? Because when you look at the proto, you look at the muslin, I mean, that should kind of tell you what's right or wrong, you know? That's why that stage is so important, you know? Like how it fits on the body. Will people want to wear this? How does it look to you? Did this ideal actually, did you really convey your idea through sketches the right way? Because now you're looking at this actual proto and it's like not really what you wanted, you know? So that's pretty much how I work. I'm just blessed to work with people who get it, you know?
Yeah, you found a really good manufacturer.
Yeah.
And then, so the other kind of creative question is, you're obviously so involved in fashion and menswear. What other mediums do you enjoy creating in, or kind of that you like to consume other than just fashion?
You know what, man? I swear I'm like a fake ass A&R, man. I feel like music has been a part of my life ever since a kid. You know what I mean? And sometimes I get torn, like, yo, should I like let Moment be an enterprise that kind of goes into kind of ventures into whatever it wants to be, you know? But definitely love music and film, you know? I'm just a huge admirer of all performance art, you know, coming from a visual, you know what I mean? So yeah. So I would love to get into, I guess simultaneously, I guess film and music in some type of way, you know? Because for me, I look at Moment could be, my brand Moment could be an entry point to a lot of other great things, you know? And I also, of course, I love to mentor. I love to speak to the youth. And I would love one day to have a school, man, have my own school, you know? You know, I have a pretty decent community of people, performance artists, visual artists, and we talked about it, man. Like, you know, I don't do long-term goals. Even if it is a long-term goal, I'll try to find a way to make it a short-term goal.
Right.
But that's a goal of mine, you know, is to definitely have some type of school, whether it's, you know, performance. Well, actually, I want it to be performance and visual, you know? I'm talking about studios, for music, design studios for creating, fashion, architecture, the whole nine, So yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
And then, so now I want to give you kind of like the platform to speak on your own brand moment. Because I know it's something that's really important to you, and hopefully it's something that you can develop into a marquee name in the next few years.
Yeah. Again, I mean, if you go on a Hypebeast and you check out the narrative of Moment, I think it says, this Japanese Americana mixture brand by Jonathan Taylor. I guess you can kind of disregard that narrative because at the time I was just so focused on quality of the product, aesthetics, right? But as time went on, I realized if I'm only focusing on quality product design with a name called Moment, I'm really doing that a disservice. So this time I really wanted to be more impactful and really mean something, So I'm just kind of just jotting down ideas. Like the collection is ideas as far as design will always be there. I'm not worried about that at all. I think right now people want to have a brand that they can connect to. I think now brands are somewhat like voting, People want to put
it's like investing.
Yeah,
it's
people
like
want to put their right. People want to put their vote towards this is what I'm fucking with right now. So I pretty much have it. You know what I mean? But at this time, I mean, simultaneously, I'm creating for these different brands. I might be going out to LA for a little while next year. Work with some cool brands. So I'm trying to find a way where I can do it both. You know what I mean? But with Moment, man, hopefully, if not by next spring, which is SS22, perhaps fall, winter 22. But again, I mean, I'm just slow cooking it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just slow cooking it while trying to be a good friend. You know what I'm saying? Trying to be a good husband, a good father. I'm not in no rush to go at that again. I only want to do it when it's right, but who knows? It may be, I may do something real quick for fall, winter 21, But at this point right now, I just pretty much just want to just work and lift as I climb and share, I think that's where we at right now and stay healthy, So again, I mean, if I can give you guys some homework, go back, look at Moment on Hypebeast and see what it is as far as visually, but also, and even as far as product and aesthetic, it will be kind of those same lines. Granted, things have kind of shifted for me in regards to aesthetic, but overall, I want the meaning of Moment to really hit home,
Right.
No pun intended, because people always say Moment home and shit, so whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm sure this won't be the last time that you'll be on the pod or you'll be anywhere around. People will see you in our content, but go ahead and let the people know where they could find you, where they could reach out to you, where they could find out some of the stuff you've done.
Oh man, I'm pretty much tucked in. I'm pretty much BTS right now behind the scenes, but my Instagram is JT is alive, obviously JTIZ alive. I don't really have a big following. Honestly, my Instagram is basically a visual journey of my story. Starting from when I first got here to New York City to now. I rarely post a lot of things that I'm doing. I struggle with that because I just feel like I don't want the things that I'm doing to feel like it's getting bigger than me.
Right.
And there's not a lot of places where you can actually find me. So I kind of let my Instagram be that, but I'm kind of shifting away from that though. I'm kind of shifting. I'm in maybe 2021, I'll do more of that. I'll post more of my environments, the space that I exist in or whatever, some of the things I'm doing. Because I mean, as far as who I am as a person, I know that shit goes by really fast. It's like you do something and it's like, okay, what's next? And I know that,
right.
So I just want to just keep it going. I'd rather keep it going and just, because it's funny because I'll speak to people and they'll say, well, I don't know you. I don't know you, man. You've done this, you've done that, but I don't know you. I've made an effort to stay in the shadows, working man and a family man, you know what I'm saying? But I guess in order to get what you never had, you got to do what you never done. So we'll see how that goes next year,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's it. JT is alive. My Instagram. My LinkedIn is John Taylor. I think for my LinkedIn, I think I'm gonna design for one more major brand, and I'm done with LinkedIn. I won't be active on LinkedIn after one more major brand, and I'm done with it. And yeah, so LinkedIn, John Taylor. My Instagram, JT is alive, and that's that.
Cool. Well, we really appreciate you being on the
Yeah, man,
podcast.
thanks for coming on. Straight gems.
I suck at this. Like I told you guys, like I suck at this.
Nah, man.
No, not at all.
I'm gonna get good.
Drop them. You don't even know.
Good.
You don't even know.
Hey,
You
what
just
did I
drop
send?
them.
I sent the notes. I didn't say JT podcast. I said flow, didn't I? Right.
Yeah, I'll get used to this,
Yes,
man.
sir.
You know? I'm such a face-to-face connection type dude. You know what I'm saying? You know.
Right.
So whoever
we'll after all this craziness, we'll definitely do a lot more of that in person.
For sure. Yeah, this is new territory for me. I'm stepping into new territory with this, you know.
Facts.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna wrap up here. Again, JT, it was good having you on. This is Navigating Now, a different podcast. Check out our other episodes. Check out our merch line. You know what I'm saying? I'm wearing the beanie, crew fleece, whatever.
Different.
He's got the pendants on. All right, we will catch you next time. Peace.